Science with Shields. I am meteorologist Christy Shields, and today we are going to be like Queen Elsa, and we are going to make some frost. So what do we need to make frost? We need a tin can, which I just emptied out one of my tin cans, cleaned it out, and here we go. Just took the label off of it because you're going to want to see the tin to be able to see this reaction. You're also going to need some ice and some salt. And that's what's going to be making this reaction. Now, it's better if you have crushed ice, which I actually took one of those mallets you use to pound chicken if you're making food, and crushed some ice because I don't have an ice crusher. Some people have it on their refrigerator, so that's fantastic if you have that. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick the ice, preferably the crushed ice, into our tin can about a quarter of the way up. And I'm going to take out some of these bigger ice chunks here. And we're going to stick that crushed ice, ooh, clearly this is messy, get ready, into the can. Again, crushed is better. All right, so we've got our crushed ice in, and we have a whole bunch of ice out, so I'm going to stick it back in the bag. Or we're going to have a lot of water everywhere. Next, you want to add a little bit of water, which I do have a little bit of water here in this other tin can. So I'm going to just add a tiny, tiny bit of water. And I'm now going to put the ones that I didn't crush into this next one because I think we'll be able to get two reactions. We may only get one. But in this other tin can, I'm going to add other water. Now, in this can, I'm going to add a whole bunch of salt. Table salt will work. Even rock salt will work. And we're going to just add a whole bunch of salt, a couple tablespoons of salt, into the can. So we're going to keep adding. And be careful not to touch the side of the can. And then if you want, you can shake that around and get that salt with the ice. And I may add a little bit more. And you may have to wait a minute for this reaction to happen. So while we do, let's take a look at what we're doing here. So this is a chemical reaction that is happening. If we take a look, frost is a formation of ice crystals on a surface below 32 degrees. So what's happening? The salt is going to melt the ice. And this is what's crazy about science. This is something I absolutely love. You would think that because the salt is melting the ice, it would warm the environment around it. But actually, with that chemical reaction, that salt melting that ice is taking up so much energy that it's actually cooling the air around it. And that's how we get frost to form. Now, dew forms just like frost. It forms on a surface, but it's above 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's a little bit of a difference between frost and dew, form the same way. And what we look at in weather to decide where can we get this frost or dew to form, we look at what's called the dew point. And that is the temperature that the air reaches saturation when you go from a water to a liquid or to a vapor. So that's what's happening here. So you can kind of see on our can, look, there's even some ice that is stuck to the can because now the can, even though the ice is melting, we've got the cans outside at 32 degrees, and you can kind of see, I'm going to put a smiley, you can see how this is like almost frost-like. I have to kind of scrape it, just like you have to scrape your windshield in the morning to get to see that it is. So we've got frost there. Now in this other can, it's also cool to the touch, but we don't have anything forming on the outside, right? It's because the can hasn't reached the temperature or below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So again, I can do everything. It's cool to touch, you can feel it, but it hasn't created that reaction like the salt did, where you're actually getting some frost on the can. So really easy, quick science experiment, and you can kind of see inside how the salt is kind of forming to that ice and melting it together. Remember when I stuck it in, it was actually all different pieces of ice, but now I bet if I tried to dump it out, it comes almost as like a chunk of ice, or it won't come out of the can at all because it is stuck in there because the ice is melting together from the salt and we've got a frosty can. So a little bit of the science behind how frost and dew forms. Again, if we take a look at that graphic really quickly here, we can kind of explain it one more time. Again, frost, it's the formation of ice crystals on a surface below 32 degrees. That salt melts the ice. It's using a lot of energy, and as it uses energy, it's cooling the environment around it, and that's why the tin can is now cooler, and it is forming those frost ice crystals on the can. And dew forms just like frost, except dew is forming on a surface above 32 degrees, so that's when you get those little water droplets in the morning. So thank you guys for watching. Again, a really fun, easy science experiment to do at home. Check out these episodes of Science with Shields every Tuesday on WTAJ+.